So we've seen how the web of science can be a powerful tool helping you to find a specific article or become an expert on a given topic by building a library of articles that can span the years of theoretical development, testing, and refinement. But Web of Science is a subscription product with key resources behind a paywall. Now, that's okay when you're a student and the university's paying for it. But what do you do after you graduate? In this exercise, we're going to examine a free service, Google Scholar, and see how it compares to Web of Science. All right? To begin, let's go to Google Scholar. Okay, so I've opened up my browser and I've gone to scholar.google.com, and here we are. Now there's two different layouts you might see depending on whether you have an account and are logged in or don't have an account and are not logged in. In this case, I have an account and I'm logged in, and it's already kind of popping up with some recommended articles for me because it knows who I am. Now, if you don't have an account, it's going to look a little different. Now, let me pull that up. This will take a sec because I've got multiple windows I'm shuffling through here. And okay, there we go. This is what you'll see if you don't have an account or are not logged in, because it doesn't know who you are to pull up some recommended articles. Okay, we're going to work with this and we'll come back to creating an account later. Okay, now kind of looking at it immediately looks kind of like Web of Science, doesn't it? We have a box that we can enter different keywords, and it'll search through the library of articles that it's tracking for those words in the title, the abstract, the keywords for the article, and other sources of information about that article. When it's doing its search, you can put in someone's name and it'll pull up articles done by that person for if you're looking for someone. Okay, now for this exercise, we're going to focus on a paper that I co-authored some time ago that reported the prevalence of different birth defects in the U.S. Because it provides some nice examples of some strengths and issues that I want to address in this exercise. Okay, so we're going to start by entering some keywords to help me find that article. So I'm going to enter into the box here. And the specific words, because I've already done this, it's remembered what I was typing in. I'm going to look for birth defects prevalence. Didn't need to type it, I could have just selected that. And then I'm going to click the search button. And it pulls up, here's a whole bunch of articles that have the words birth defects, prevalence, and estimates somewhere in that information. And again, remember, I don't have it in quotes, so it could be birth defects in the title, birth in the title, defects in an abstract, prevalence somewhere else, and in any sort of combination. As a result, we're getting a lot of hits. And in fact, that's the answer to question 1 is how many, using Google Scholar, approximately how many results were found searching for the words birth defects, prevalence, estimates. And we see it right here, 243,000. So that is the answer for question 1. It's going to be D, right? More than 100,000. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, now you can use quotation marks just like with Web of Science, and then it requires that the words be together from the abstract or title, whatever. For example, let's add quotation marks around birth defects. And now, instead of birth in the title and defects in an abstract or something, it has to have those two words together. And notice once we do that, the results come down to only 75,200. So we've narrowed our search accordingly by doing that. There's also Google Scholar apparently does not use the asterisk, the star, as to help with getting variations of a given word. So for example, if you're looking for resiliency, you may want to do resiliency, resilience, resilient, kind of all those different types of ways someone may, synonyms for kind of like synonyms of the same word. And so one strategy you can do in other search engines is you just do resilience up to the C and then an asterisk, and it'll get all the other possible characters, letters that may come after that, and capture all of those variations. Okay. Now you can include any type of article or source, or you can restrict it specifically to review articles if you want to kind of gather those types of sources. You can include patents if you check the patent box. Probably not something we're going to be doing. And also this includes citations. If that box is checked, Google will include in your search, it'll include citations that appeared in other journal articles or papers or whatever, but where Google couldn't actually find it. So that may be either a questionable source or an incomplete source that's someone, or an erroneously cited source that's showing up in an article somewhere. Okay? You can also create alerts where Google Scholar will email you when new articles appear that are based on a topic or author or a certain citation that you're interested in following. We'll come back to that later. You can also refine your search using advanced search. And to do that, we come over here. Let's pull up my little cursor. Oops, let's kind of over here to the three bars. I click on that, go to advanced search, and here's some additional ways we can narrow our search. Notice you can, it's already pre-populated with all the words from the search we have just done. It's got to include all 4 of those words, but you can also restrict it by a specific author. You can restrict it by the journal where it's published, or specific dates. Now, something that's interesting is Google Scholar doesn't let you restrict your results based on whether it's in a peer-reviewed journal. Okay, that's because Google's just pulling that information off the web. It's not really tracking too much detail about the journal, so it doesn't know, oh, this one's peer-reviewed, that one's not, or this source is and that one's not. So you can't filter based on peer-reviewed publications in Google Scholar. Just kind of a limitation. But that is the answer to question number 3. Using Google Scholar Advanced Search, you can restrict your results to journals that use peer review. No, that's false. You can't do that with Google Scholar. Okay, so let's keep going. Okay, there's other options that we can be using in advanced search as well. There's exact phrase, which is putting the quotation marks around it, that it has to be that specific sequence, pairing, whatever, of words. At least one of the words is a way of addressing the synonym question again. Let's say that you're not sure, you're interested in looking at adolescent behavior, but you're not sure what words people may use to describe adolescence. Some may say adolescent, some may say teens, some may use the term youth throughout their abstract and title and stuff, and you don't want to miss them. So at least, but at the same time, you don't want to put all of those in the all words option, because that will only give you articles that use adolescent and teen and youth. But so you don't want to use all, you don't want to require that it's got all 3, because a lot may not, but you want to get all the articles that use at least one of those, because you're not sure again which word people are going to use. So to deal with that situation, you can put those options in the at least one of the words box. And without words is a way of just kind of making sure you exclude certain articles. Let's say I'm interested in teaching, but I want to eliminate, I'm just not interested in anything about preschool or college teaching. You could put those in and it'll eliminate articles where, again, in the abstract title, whatever, they talk about, they mention preschool or college. Okay? So that's advanced search. Now, notice going back, we had 243,000 hits, which is a lot. So let's narrow it down here, and because we want to look at an article of mine, and we will restrict it to articles authored by, and let's put it in quotations, Craig A. Mason, because if you don't, it could pick an article where they got the name Craig Smith or John Mason, So let's do Craig A. Mason, and we will do a search, and let's see. Oh, there we go, and we get 7 back. And notice this, the one we're looking for is the very first one at the top here. Great. Now, a few things. If we click on the title, and I'm going to right click on it and open in a new tab. It's taking us to the web page for the journal. Here you can see the journal. In this case, we can't get a link, no PDFs for us there, but if you wanted to go straight to the journal that published it, the link here, that's where it's taking you. Instead of taking you to a page internal to Google Scholar about the article, it's taking you directly to the journal site for the article. Notice it does have a PDF. That's great. And some of these others have PDFs that are available. These are PDFs that are publicly available. Remember, the Google Scholar is not tied to the university in that it's not going to filter out things that you can get through the Fogler library. There's a lot of articles we can get that are not going to be publicly available, and that's kind of the limitation of Google Scholar. It's just those that are publicly available to everybody. Web of Science will include articles from journals where we have a subscription service, so you can get those as well. But this one does have a publicly available article, a PDF. Okay. Underneath, there's some options here. Save is a way of saving a copy of this, and we'll come back to that later for you. Cite is, we can click on this and it gives us different citation formats. So if you're making a literature review or you want to keep track of these articles, here are the different styles that people use. APA is widely used in education and social sciences. You can also download it if you're using some electronic citation manager. You can download them. Notice for us, because we'll come back to this in a minute, the first author's name is Parker. The first author's last name is Parker. And it's correct here. Notice that it's saying this was cited 1,983 times. Now, that's wow. I mean, Web of Science for the same article, if you may not remember, but Web of Science had a little over 1,200 citations for this article. We got 1,900 going through Google Scholar. And that's because Google Scholar casts a much wider net for its searching. So it's pulling all sorts of online resources. Again, more than what you will get from Web of Science. So that's a positive, but for Google Scholar. The related articles, you can click on here, and it just will take you to other articles. If you're interested in this, it's another, they filter and find other articles that are related to this topic. All 9 versions. What does that mean? All 9 versions? What it's telling us is this citation, this paper showed up 9 different ways online when Google was out tracking down journal articles. Now this is great. It's just telling you we're finding all the different variations that this has shown up. That's part of how you can get to 19, more citations, but it can be problematic if you're not careful. Let's actually take a look at this. So I clicked on that, and here's the 9 different versions that showed up online. The kind of how does this happen? Well, there's some you can see. Let's see, where is Euro PEPMC? That's it's a European Life Sciences Library database. So they've got a record of it. That's what this one is. It's just telling us that a European health life sciences data system also has this in their data system, and they've flagged it. There's another one down here that is CIRNII.ac. This is a Japanese database, same sort of a thing for kind of an online library where they're collecting articles and references. This one's kind of interesting here. Notice it's got a PDF with it, so we might look at that and think, hey, this is great. Let's go with this reference. It's got the PDF, but look at it closely. The author's different. Meyer. It's not Parker May. It's Meyer Mason, Kirby Korea. What's going on with that? And if you click on the citation and you use that, you're getting the wrong citation. It's telling this citation using this version is saying Bob Meyer was the first author. No, it was Sam Brown. She was the first author. What's going on? What's happened? Well, one thing is we've got the answer for question number 4. The lead author on the article updated national birth prevalence estimates was Parker correctly, but when we examined the multiple versions, we found one that listed a different lead author, and that was Meyer. So the answer is going to be D. Now, the danger here is you're just going to click on this citation, you're going to copy this and publish it with your dissertation, and someone's going to say, wait a second, that's the wrong citation. And then it starts to lead questions like, well, what happened? Did you even read this article? Kind of where did you get it? You're just kind of copying stuff offline. That's a problem. So you don't want to make that mistake. But so how did Google make this mistake? Well, let's look at the PDF, and that'll show us. And it also kind of illustrates a little bit of the danger with Google Scholar. Because Google Scholar is just a big, giant engine out there searching the web. It's just pulling information off the web that for different articles. They talk about it as literally scraping the web for different information. And it found, here's the site, here's another copy of the paper it found via ResearchGate. But the way ResearchGate organizes it, it's highlighting authors, specific authors, not necessarily in the order of the authorship. So it's got Bob Meyer, it's got me, it's got Russ Kirby, Adolfo, and when Google is scraping this information off the internet, it's scraping the wrong information. It shouldn't be pulling here. If you scroll down, you notice here's a copy of the article, which does have the correct authorship. But the citation it's providing is based on the wrong information because it's not Google, it's not double checking, it's not editing along the way. It's just these engines scraping information, and sometimes it scrapes wrong. So it's kind of something to be careful about with Google Scholar. You want to kind of double check and don't just kind of blindly copy paste, or you can make these sorts of serious mistakes. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so Google Scholar can help us find a specific article, but it can also help us to find the work that's done by a specific researcher. If you just let's take a look at kind of someone's body of work. So to do that, let's go back to here, and we will pull me up. So let's find one of these links to me that's active. We'll actually go back one more. Okay, so you notice C.A. Mason, there's kind of a shortcut. We can click on this to take it to my profile. And here is my profile in Google Scholar, where you can see kind of, again, all the publications that Google Scholar has tracked down for me, as well as some indices of my citation records and stuff. Now, a couple interesting things here. Let's scroll down a little bit. It's not telling me how many publications I've got. We know that, or I know that Web of Science has me for around 77-ish articles. Google Scholar has found 134. That's like twice as many publications for me. That's great, or is it? Kind of one of the issues here is, look at some of these. Let's actually, I'm going to have to search. Let's search. I want to show you kind of what it's tracking down, because remember, while I'm doing this, I'll talk. Google Scholar is based on their algorithms just scraping the internet for stuff. Well, here's one thing that's showing up as a piece of scholarship for me is an email of mine. It was for my stats class back at the start of the pandemic, and we were encouraged to, when the pandemic started and the university went online, faculty were encouraged to try to engage students making videos in any way related to the pandemic and epidemics and that. And I did that. I made for my stats class. We were live. We suddenly were meeting online. And so I made this email, and you can actually click on it and see. Here's a copy of my email that somebody uploaded into Digital Commons, kind of an online open source records for the university. And it's just to my class, and it's got links to these videos if you're interested. The links are still, I think the links are still active, talking about some principles and issues around epidemiology and epidemics. Let's just see. Is that, yes, it's still an active link. We don't need to watch it. You can if you're interested. But that is certainly not I would not consider that a form of scholarship. So, and there's others that are here that are showing up that just, it doesn't make any sense. But it's not using any judgment, where Web of Science is curated and carefully kind of monitored, and that Google's just scraping the internet and finding stuff, and it's found all sorts of stuff that are probably, well, probably, that just wouldn't be considered scholarship. So that's one issue. So it's really not 134. Another issue that comes up with Google Scholar, let's search again, is I'm looking for the articles where I know this comes up, is this article, the relationship of built environment. Oh, nope, I don't want that one. This one, the relationship of built environment to perceived social support and psychological distress, is here, and it's here. It's the same paper, shows up twice. It's it just is the same paper, and here it's got 188 citations, but then it shows up again down here with 48 more citations, but it's a little different. The formatting for this version is a little different. And I think that must be kind of part of what's happening with it. So that's a problem. So it's, again, there's two articles that are the same thing getting double counted. In fact, so the total citations is a 48 plus whatever the other one was. So that's a problem. It's really not as high as it, there's not as many as it looks. It's Google Scholar will pull articles, journal articles, chapters, nice things like that, but it also can scrape some stuff that's emails. kind of also the fact that it is pulling in more information by doing that, it is getting more records, more information, and you can see actually my total citations is higher using Google Scholar than when I look at it in Web of Science. My H index is 40, though based on what we just saw, it should really be 39. The H index is how many papers you've got that have been cited that number of times. So this says I've got 40 papers that were cited at least 40 times. So that's what the H index is. Okay. So kind of some of the good, the bad, and the ugly with how Google Scholar's working in that regard. And this is a nice way you can see it. I just don't have I don't have that many publications. I got a lot, but not that many, not 100, not that many. And I certainly don't want to count emails as a publication. Okay, but it's the nature of how Google Scholar works, just scraping the web. Okay, so kind of our next step now is we've kind of seen how Google Scholar works. I want you to actually make a Google Scholar account. If you've got a Google account, if it may already work. If you may have seen that when you logged in, it already recognizes you. That's great. So if you got one, you don't need to make another one. But if you don't, make a Google Scholar account. And that lets you start to save articles while you're working and searching and set up alerts that we're going to see in a minute. So question 5 is simply saying for you to create a Google Scholar account. To do that, all you need to do is, if you're not signed in, just click the sign in, and it asks you to either sign in or you create an account. And just if you create an account, enter your information, well, for your personal use. Ooh, interesting. So in our case, we'd be doing for our personal use. And just complete the process. I'm not going to do that because I've already got one. But you can easily create a Google Scholar account. Okay, so question 5, just create an account. I do note there is a correct answer to that question. You want to, if you've got one or you make one, select A. Okay. Now, once you've created your Google Scholar account, you can use it to save lists of articles that you find, to save links to PDFs where there's a PDF available for them, and to create alerts where Google Scholar will notify you as new papers are published in an area that you've expressed an interest and have told it to track for you. So great resources there. Okay, now to illustrate that, I've logged back into Google Scholar using my account this time, so it knows who I am, and do that. Notice it immediately pops up with, oh, some recommended articles again, because it knows I'm interested in hearing loss in children. So one way to save a link for an article is when you see this little star, just click the star. Notice it pops up and it gives me an option for a label. And reading list is kind of the default with Google Scholar. It's just kind of a way of archiving, records of things you want to read. So you can use that certainly. Or I've made a category of a label for hearing loss where I can put articles on hearing loss, and this is hearing loss, so we'll do that. So I click done, and notice there it is. It's got the little star and it's in my library. To see it, I just click on my library, and here's hearing loss, and here's 3 articles I've got in hearing loss. Okay, let's go back to Google Scholar. Do another, this time let's do a search. Let's go back to doing our search on resiliency, kindergarten, and poverty. Now, one key when you're doing, and it's when you're doing these searches, I want to point out is, don't use sentences. Use something like, in this case, resiliency, kindergarten, poverty. Do not enter something like, I'm interested in why some children in kindergarten who live in high poverty areas seem more resilient and ready for school than other children living in poverty in the same. No, no, no. That's gonna, all those words are going to lead you, are going to create problems. Just stick with some specific keywords that you're doing. We're not, you don't write sentences. So let's do a search on this. And here we are. Here's some articles. And like we saw before, and if I say I'm interested in threshold, this first one, at the bottom it says save. I click the little star and the label. Well, I don't want to put it under hearing loss, so I'm going to create a new label. And this is going to be resiliency. We want to save this one, and I'll put that one under resiliency. Okay, and I can save it there. Then if I go back to my library, I can see, oh, look, I've got this whole new category of stuff I can read with. Here's the links to the PDFs for those. That is just great. Okay? So for question 6, all you need to do is save an article. Save some link. It could be one of the ones we're doing here. It could be a different article that you're interested in. But I just want you to go through the process so you know how to do it in the future. Okay? So that's question number 6. And yes, there is a correct answer to that one too. All right? Now, setting up alerts is just as easy. All you do is, let's put in our search, and we'll go back to resilience. So we're back to this alert, this list. And now if I want to create an alert, you just come over here where it says create alert. I click on that button, and here's the words that it's using. I got a few options. Is that the email I want those alerts to go to? Yep, I want it to go to that. It filters based on its, again, definition of relevancy for the articles. So you can let it select kind of what are the top ones, or you can say, throw in less relevant ones as well. Kind of just how much do you want to get from them. It gives you some examples here of what it's found in the, in this case, in the past year for the most relevant and less relevant, if you want to kind of scroll through and get a sense of how you want to approach that. Then we just create alert, click that button, and now I have got an alert. And you can see other alerts I've got, just a couple playing around with this. Carl White is a researcher. I want to, every time Carl publishes something, I get a little, and Google finds out about it, I get an update from Google. You can do, all sorts of different alerts for that. And again, the beauty of that is you're passive. It's just coming to you to help you stay up to date. Again, that's how you become an expert in the literature, that you just follow what's happening, keep up to date on the scholarship that people are doing around topics that matter to you. So question 7 is getting at that. Now that you've got a Google Scholar account, create an alert for a topic that's important to you, so that, or of interest to you, so that you can get updates even after class is ended, in terms of what's happening in that area. Okay? If you have any questions, let me know. Take care. Bye-bye.